Hey, hello, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Easy Markets Daily Pitch International with me, Darius and Charles, because today's the 7th of August, 2023. So, yep, welcome, everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendations and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. Look, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I'll disappear from that little left corner. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, just a quick mentioning of our Easy Markets website, which you can always check out for more information about us, guys. So now then, let's jump into the charts. So a chart that I have here is Apple, but look, I'm not really going to talk on this one about this one too much. Just wanted to show you that what declined on Friday heavily. I think, investors were not really happy with the Apple's earnings, and this is what led to a nice drop here. And look at this, even from the technical perspective, you can see here we broke the upside line and we drifted nicely to the downside, and now we are approaching nicely this 23.6% retracement on the Fibonacci. This one is drawn from the lowest point of this year to the highest point of this year, so now it's quite a nice healthy correction. Look, after let me just check how much we've traveled from here, from the first kind of days of this year to the highest point. We've gained around what, 60, almost 60%. So now I think it's quite a reasonable move here. So yeah, let's see how that's gonna play out later on. But this leads me to indices. Basically, on last week, at the end of last week on Friday, we saw some declines in the U.S. market. And not only that, there was like some bad numbers from inflation. Sorry, not inflation, but inflation is this week. But job numbers, but also yes, some companies did disappoint. But I'll get to the U.S. indices in a bit. Nikkei 225. Look, we traveled lower on Friday. We drifted, yes, nicely, but the futures we're seeing here, they have rebounded from this key support zone. I talked about it, and I would like to see a nice good clearance of this zone in order to go lower. If I get that, then yes, potentially more sellers could join in for the upside. Look, from the very short-term perspective, if we do climb back above this 50-day EMA and stay above it, then yes, I'll consider a move higher, but only up until this downside resistance line drawn from the high of the 16th of June. China 50 index, right? Okay. A bit of a roller coaster ride, but like in general, look, we did rebound nicely. We pushed higher, but we didn't really reach my target. So, okay, I have to kind of accept that, but I think that something else could be forming here. So, look, this idea still could be valid, right? I mean, this rebound and a push higher again. The only thing is that I'm going to approach it slightly differently, in a slightly different way. So, what I see here is a possible either. Let me just adjust this. There we go. Either we see here a nice formation of a descending triangle pattern, which according to all the TA rules should break to the downside through this lower side here, or maybe this is a bit of a not a very attractive but still a bullish flag or bullish pennant formation. So again, we have to wait and see, because it's going to be interesting to see if we can, let's say, maybe rebound from somewhere here, because maybe this is the case here. I don't know. Again, it's too early to say, but maybe this is, we're kind of coiling up here, and then if that's the case, then if this is a triangle pattern, then the prevailing trend was to the upside. So, and now we're kind of in a triangle, or could be potentially in a triangle, and then that means that according to the TA rules, this should break to the upside. However, look, either way, whatever, I think that what I'm going to do here is I'm going to approach this very carefully, and let's say if we do break the downside line, then yes, I'll go higher. I'll go a little bit to the upside towards that 13,522, 536 levels. For the downside, I need to drop below this 13,064 territory, somewhere around here, and then, yes, I will consider a move to the downside, because here, this area, also, we could break the 200-day EMA, and potentially this way attracting a few more sellers into the game. ASX 200. So, yeah, the Australian index did have an attempt to push higher, but yeah, it got a hold up near this downside line. I talked about it. Look, I said to you that if we do find good support around here, we could rebound, we could push up, test this downside line, which was previously seen as the upper side of the broadening triangle pattern, which was this one. Yep, the big one. And we got a hold up here, so we tested it and we drifted back to the downside. So this arrow has to be redrawn now, and I think maybe if you're looking for some higher levels and a push above this downside line here, the upper side of the broadening triangle would be needed. For the downside, a drop below this 7,215 zone, something around here, might do the trick for a few more sellers. But again, let's wait and see. While we remain in this zone, I'm just observing the price action. So yeah, the US indices, let's have a look at that one. And before I go further, good morning to everyone. Good morning, everyone in the chat room, and good morning to everybody else who's tuning in right now. So I hope you're having a wonderful start of Monday. I hope you're all feeling nice and relaxed. If not, well, what can I say? Try to chill. Somehow, maybe, I don't know, find an hour just to switch off, and then you can jump into the markets. Yeah. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, so far so good. Look, this idea worked out. I talked about this breakout point. I said to you that if we do clear this lower side of the box, or should I say the range, then yes, I will get a little bit more comfortable with the downside. And so far, I'm going to stick to my game plan. I'm going to aim for lower levels, and as long as we stay below this 35,350 territory, then yes, I am leaning towards slightly lower levels. Not much, but just slightly lower levels. Maybe somewhere towards this area, towards the 34,889, or maybe a little bit lower than that, the 50-day EMA. So good potential target, but let's wait and see. But that's, like I said, I'm only going to aim for that if we do stay below this 35,350 zone. If we start climbing back above it, maybe a drift to the upside here, back to the upside here could be possible. But I think that maybe we could keep an eye on that 35,400 zone, something like that, just for that extra confirmation, because that's the highest point of April of 2022. Again, look, it got violated a few times, but I'm just going to keep it for now, just honestly, just for that extra confirmation. Daredevil Dave, good morning to you too. Yeah, I hope you're also having a wonderful start of Monday. So everybody else who's tuning in right now, yep, good morning to you too. The S&P 500, so beautiful hold up here. So look, mission accomplished in a way on this one. I talked about it, and yes, what can I say? If we want to go lower, a break of this short-term tentative upside support line drawn from the low of the 26th of November is required. If we do get that break, then yes, I will aim for this upside line after that. So I get it. It's like not a lot of space here, but hey, we have this upside line. I want to see if we can respect that. But yeah, if we do break this upside line and we fall below this 4,500 territory, somewhere around here, then yeah, potentially more sellers could join in. Yes, look, we have this 50-day EMA just slightly lower. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it very carefully, but if that gets cleared, then yes, like I said, my next target is this upside line. For the upside, I would like to see maybe a push back above this hurdle somewhere, this 4,557. I talked about it. This was my breakout to the downside. So yep, if we do clear this one, I will consider a move a little bit, maybe back to the upside here. Florence Okeva, good morning to you too. Happy to see you here. Happy to see everybody else who's tuning in as well here. So guys, happy to see everybody. Nasdaq 100 very quickly on this one. So we clear the upside line. Now I talked about this this upside line. Basically, look, it's a little bit on the tentative side because look, you can draw it this way, you can draw it maybe a little bit the other way like this, capturing that little drop here, and then you'll see that okay, if we are capturing this one, then this is like a perfect test. So you know, it's all kind of a little bit subjective, not very objective, but subjective. So yeah, if you're looking for some lower levels, I think that wait for a break of this other trend line that I just drawn. The fact that we broke the first one, okay, that's fine as well. Yes, I mean, this just kind of all kind of goes into this how to say it, it adds to all this bearishness and supports the downside scenario, you know. But I think that, yeah, look, if we do break this upside line and we fall below the 50-day EMA, then yeah, potentially that's where more sellers could join in, because again, we have not been below the 50-day EMA for quite a while now. And since when? Since March of this year. Yes, last time we were below there, but it was a brief visit, and then we quickly reversed to the upside. So, look, long story short, for now, I would say if we want to go, yes, if we're going to go lower, I need that drop here below this upside line. Well, yeah, below this other one, the other one that I have drawn. For the upside, I need to see a break of this downside line. Simple as that. DAX, the German index. So yes, also resting on this nice upside line, which is, by the way, the lower side of the rising wedge pattern, which according to all the TA rules tends to break to the downside. However, a confirmation break is still needed. So I'm going to say the same thing, and yes, I'm going to keep an eye on this zone here. If we do get that breakout, great. Well, more sellers could join in. If we don't, I'm not going to rush into the up towards higher levels. No, I'm going to start maybe considering some higher levels if we do push back somewhere above the 16,100 zone, something like that, and then yes, I will consider a move to the upside. And by the way, before I go further away from the US indices, in terms of US data this week, we do have okay, it's a maybe less exciting week as like not as like last week, but still we have the inflation numbers coming out from the US, so that's going to be interesting. So okay, not only from the US, we have some Norwegian inflation numbers coming out on Thursday. So if you're trading Euro NOK or USD NOK, so yep, could be something to watch out for. We do have some German numbers as well, German CPI numbers coming out. So, yep, for those all Euro traders, keep an eye on that one. But yeah, in terms of, like I said, these are the little news that are coming out. Of course, some might say, but hey, maybe you know the U.S. inflation is not that little because the Fed is watching. Yeah, I mean, look, it's nothing new. It's the same thing over and over. They're watching. They're going to be ready to act if needed. You know, to to support the economy if inflation continues to go out of hand. Okay, we heard all that, so it's good. Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much for that. But the thing is that it's not really like it seems like the story is all over every month is the same, like, and the market participants just keep on pretending that, oh, something new came out. No. So far I would say everybody's trying to be quiet and you know, and trying to kind of, I think, not talk about the fact that that the inflation is actually dropping very quickly in most regions. Like, for example, the US, for example, look, I mean, the year-on-year headline CPI number, the forecast right now is for an increase. So going from the previous 3% to 3.3. Okay, that's interesting to see. Will that be the case or not? I don't know, to be honest. I think that if you know, that could just continue sliding, And if we fall below the below 3%, look, just a second, something I wanted to check here very quickly. So the target for the Fed, for the Fed's inflation target, is around 2%. And we have traveled lower very, very quickly from, let's say, you know, from the beginning of this year. Yeah, it was just on a, you know, we did drop significantly. And we continue to slide, to be honest. And maybe, okay, maybe somebody will say, but hey, maybe now it's going to stabilize a little bit, and then, you know, maybe it's going to go down. Yeah, it could be, whatever, you know. But the thing is that we are already near Fed's target almost. I mean, comparing to where we were last year, kind of the same time last year, we were at around 9%. So, yeah. We kind of, you know, it dropped already 3 times that. So, and they keep raising rates, and this is what I think the market participants are worried, and in a way saying that, hey, you know, but you know, you're gonna hurt the you know, the stock market this way, and like, and I think that, you know, the Fed is like, oh, really? Oh my God, seriously? I mean, you know, wow, we never knew that. But I think that that's the goal. I mean, I have been talking about this already, so for quite a while, and I think that this is a goal, kind of non-unwritten rule, that we need to bring the stock market a little bit lower because everything's kind of a little bit way too over, you know, over, yeah. Over expensive. And even though inflation is falling, actually, this is my other, you know, kind of not question, but kind of, I would say, remark, that inflation is falling, but actually, what's, you know, somehow you don't feel it in the supermarket, right? Somehow you don't feel it with the rents. And I think that because there's still a huge demand for housing, and until that stabilizes, that's not gonna, you know, nothing is gonna change. So at the moment, yeah, I think that everything will remain the same. They will continue kind of increasing rates, because the goal is not, even, let's say, if the headline inflation starts dropping and it gets to their target, I think that the problem right now is the housing and food. So these two. But again, we'll see. We'll see how it's going to play out. Because look, in terms of like numbers, why I'm saying like food, and yes, the official numbers might say that one thing, but actually, and you know, the real numbers, which for the consumers, like what they're spending, yeah, that's where the issue lies. So coming back to the indices here, the FTSE 100. So this week we have I think something preliminary GDP numbers from UK, and that's coming out when on Friday. Yeah, on Friday. So the preliminary GDP numbers coming out. So yep, I think, yeah, that's the one. Those are the ones. So we'll see how that's going to play out, guys. Look, for now, looking at the technical picture here on for the FTSE 100, we can see that yes, we have a beautiful rebound. Okay, that's something that I talked about. Again, we had that violation of this downside line, and again, it kind of acted as a good area of support in a way, like a nice little trampoline here. Now, what I'm going to do here, you know what, first of all, I'm going to get rid of the Fibonacci. No longer needed. I think now it's better to focus on something else, like, for example, this. So, for example, this 7,570 territory right here, if we do climb back above it, then yes, potentially more buyers could join in, and yes, we could see some higher levels. Now, if this is not enough, maybe you could keep an eye on something around here, near the 7,622, approximately around here. That's for just extra confirmation, because again, you would already be above all of the EMAs in my daily chart here, and we could, yeah, aim for this barrier right here. Of course, ideally, Ideally, I would like to see a push above that 7,704 zone in order to go higher. Yes, because a forthcoming higher high will be confirmed. But yeah, look, for now, like I said, I'm going to be very careful here. While we remain somewhere around here, I'm just going to observe the price action. If we start falling back below this downside line and stay below it, yep, I'll get a little bit more excited with lower levels. JD Invest, good morning to you too. Please check Cocoa at all-time high. I believe there is a shortage the last couple of years. Bull trend since 2022. Let me see if I do have this one on easy markets here. Just a sec. Yeah. Okay, I'll add that one. And by the way, JD Invest, you've asked me a question on Thursday on one of my videos. Like you left a comment, but I responded that on Friday. So if you're looking for a response, then I've mentioned that in there. Yeah. So anyway, coming back to this is, so the dollar index, there we go. Dollar index still kind of bouncing around here somewhere in between these two lines. Again, I don't really like scenarios like this, but it's not very, very clear, to be honest. It could just continue moving sideways here a little bit, or should I say, like, I wouldn't say coiling up, but it's not really like an ideal triangle pattern here. But I would say this way, that if you want to go lower, I think, wait for a break of this upside line, because at the same time, we would be below all of the EMAs here on my daily chart, and maybe also below this 101.59 zone, which, as you can see, acted as a good area of support recently. So let me just grab this one. I'm going to reuse it. Yep, something like, not like this, but like this. So this is going to be my barrier for the downside, my hurdle, from where I'm going to look at some lower levels. For the upside, I would like to see a push above this 100-day EMA, because at the same time we would clear again this downside line, which, to be honest, it's not really carrying much significance. I think that I'm just going to stick to that 100-day EMA. If we climb back above it and stay above it, then yes, more buyers could join in, and we could aim for that 200-day EMA. Gold, looking at the picture here, yes, just a second, something caught in my eye. So gold, okay, we had a good hold up here. I talked about this previously, and I said to you that keep your eyes on this barrier, because if it's going to hold, maybe a nice good slide back down could be possible here. And so far, it's doing a good job. Now, I might stick to this, and the reason why I'm saying might, because that's where I'm going to make things a little bit more complicated. Why? Look, on a daily chart, I think that it's not very easily seen, but maybe on a weekly. So as you can see here, this little pattern, this little moment here potentially could be as a maybe nice little inverted head and shoulders pattern, with the neckline being around here. Now we have our left shoulder, we have our head, could see our right shoulder, and then, if that's the case, then we could see a reversal back to the upside. However, at the same time, it might not be the case, because again, let's not rush into things. Maybe it's just going to do something straightforward, just going to continue struggling, let's say, to overcome that 1946 territory somewhere around here. And if that's the case, then yes, my next target is the 200-day EMA, which is around that 1918 level. And then we'll go from there. For the upside, from the shorter term perspective, I would like to see a push above this barrier, above this 1946 zone, and this 50-day EMA, and then potentially more buyers could join in. We could target that downside resistance line right here. So silver, very quickly on silver. The picture here is, again, still a little bit on the bearish side. However, I've reached my target. My target was the 200-day EMA, but now we're just kind of floating just slightly above it. So I don't really, this area I really don't like. I mean, okay, at the moment it's just not doing much, but look, if it starts dropping and stays below this 200-day EMA, then yes, potentially this could attract a few more buyers. However, some of you might say, but hey, what about this upside line, which could be the case, you know, could be a good one. Hey, you're not going to be wrong there. This could be a nice upside line here. We could keep an eye on it. And let's put it this way. If we do drop below the 200-day EMA, yes, I'm going to lean lower, but I'm going to aim initially for this upside line. And if this upside line gets broken, then yes, I will consider some lower levels. I will consider maybe a move here towards the downside, towards maybe the lowest point of June of this year. I don't like this one. I like this one. There we go. So. And then we'll kind of take it from there. But from the shorter term perspective, look, for now, if I keep an eye on this 200-day EMA, that's something that I'm going to be watching. If we do clear it, then yes, I'll aim for this upside line. But for the upside scenario, I think that maybe a break of this downside line would be needed. And then, yes, we could get a little bit more excited with some higher levels. Maybe actually this level here, the 24.04, yeah, it would be nice, but maybe we could even already look at this 23 point, let's round it up here a little bit, 80 zone. And from here, we could start looking at some higher levels. But again, I'm not going to rush into anything for now. While we remain in here above this 200-day EMA, I'm just neutral. If we start dropping below it, then yes, I will get a little bit more excited with the downside, but only up until this upside line. Copper, very quickly on this one. Let me just bring cocoa here a little bit behind soybeans. So copper, just very quickly on this one. Look, I've talked about this one, and I said to you that keep your eyes on this potential idea of a rising wedge pattern, which according to all the TA rules tends to break to the downside. But I would like to see, yes, I would like to see a break first, and then aim lower, because as I mentioned before, that while we remain inside the pattern, it could still drift back to the upside. So just at this point, yeah, let's wait. If you're looking for something like a level or something like that, then maybe somewhere around here. But again, this is not really, yeah, maybe this one, the 3.9 zone, something like that. And then, yeah, from here we could target higher levels. Soybeans. So there we go. I talked about this idea of a possible bearish flag. And so far, it seems to be working out, almost working out. Why? Because I said to you that even if it is a bearish flag, I need to see a breakout somewhere below this territory. Initially, of course, below this 1362 zone, which we are already testing and kind of already broke a little bit, but we're struggling to stay below it. But if we do stay below it and we continue to slide, then yes, further declines here are possible. Now, cocoa, just let's have a look at this one. I have looked at this one before already. You can see by the lines that I've drawn here previously, but just bear with me one moment. Now, okay, so JD Invest one. I can see what you're talking about. So from what? From 2022, you're saying. Well, from 2022, I mean, probably more of the second part of 2022, because in the beginning of the 2022 we also rose here, but then we started declining, and now we're kind of going higher here. Look, in general, I would say that yes, it's very tempting to go short here. I'm not gonna argue with that one. My only problem is that how do we know that it is here that we're gonna go short already, like from this territory? Because yes, we reached the 3,600 zone. Okay, of course, in comparison to where we were at the beginning of this year, where we were like around 2,500, so we gained another $1,000 here. Okay, look, it might go lower, might not, but the thing is that you need to look at on some commodities, not only the technicals kind of work You need to also look at the fundamentals and what's happening. I mean, in general, what I know, and from just the top of my head, but I might be wrong. I need to research this a little bit more. But if I remember correctly, the problem here is that we are having a bit of a shortage of cocoa. So that's the kind of the cocoa beans, and the trees are getting sick very quickly because and again, another thing is that people, the human factor, we humans, we like to sit on beautiful furniture which is chopped out of the rainforest, and we don't care about anything else, right? I mean, just as long as we are comfortable, and and so that we could drink our hot cocoa on something, right? But the trees get chopped off, and the trees also get diseases. So, and in general, this kind of creates this little shortage in products. Look, if it stabilizes a little bit, we see, let's say, reports that there's increasing supply right now, then yes, of course, we could see the price here declining nicely, coming back down. In general, if we just purely look at the technicals, then yes, of course, what I'm seeing here, I'm seeing that there is a potential for this one to decline. But I think that, in my opinion, I would start looking at some lower levels if we do fall somewhere below this territory, below that 3,439, and then I'll consider a larger correction to the downside. Now, some of you might say, but hey, we could be missing out on on a bit of territory. But at the same time, what if this, from the technical perspective, of course, what if this is seen as a nice bullish flag? We have our little channel, which is also, like I said, which could be seen as a bullish flag. We have our pole, so that means that there is potential for the upside, right? Logical. However, as I said before, that whenever we have something like this, a confirmation break is needed. So, in other words, while we remain inside the channel, then yes, we could see a drift lower here. If we, start seeing a break of the upper side of this falling channel, then yes, great, potentially more buyers could join in, and maybe this could come in line with the shortage of cocoa, and there we go, and everything could be bullish again. Now, but from, like I said, from the technical perspective, there is potential for some downside in the short run. But if we break the upper side here of this falling channel, then yes, more buyers could join in, and we could see a nice drift lower. In general, I would say also we have moved away from the 50-day EMA quite a lot already. So maybe a nice retracement here could be possible. Yes, I agree, it would be tempting, really tempting, but let's say it this way. I will, if we do start dropping below the lower side of this this falling channel, then yeah, and we also fall below this 3,439 zone, then yes, I'll get a little bit more excited with some lower levels, and I'll aim for this upside line and this 50-day EMA as well. But apart from the technicals, of course, as I already mentioned, you need to keep an eye on the fundamentals, because if there are still problems with cocoa supply, technical or not technical, analysis, doesn't matter. It's going to continue running until we see some sort of reports saying that everything is okay now, or at least for now, the supply has stabilized, and that's why we will see a bit of a decline. But again, you need to carefully monitor this. You cannot really, like with currencies or indices, you cannot really let's say purely blindly go into all this. Same story with soybeans that I just mentioned, right? I mean, look, the price has fallen sharply just because the supply stabilized. They said that, oh, you know what, better weather in the US is getting forecasted, so no drought, there's going to be some rain, and and boom, there we go. Everybody's happy, supply, there are expectations on better supply, and the price just adjusts automatically. Oil, so mission accomplished. I've reached my target. Now I'm just going to rest and chill. So what I said to you last week, I said to you that as long as we stay above this upside line, I'm going to go higher. We did nicely tested in midweek. We held nicely here. We rebounded and pushed back up. And there we go. My target was reached, this area near the 83.54 zone, which is the highest point of April. Look, we just fell shy by a few points from reaching it, but I'll take that. It's a good result. Now what's next? Next is this. Next is this barrier, which yeah, I'm just gonna use it here. There we go. So this is going to be my barrier for the upside. If we do clear this one, then yes, I'll go to the upside. Now, if we struggle, then a bit of a decline here could be possible. And I would say keep your eyes on this upside line. And if we do clear it and if we do break it, then yes, more sellers could join in. Now I need to tidy up my lines here a little bit. I think I don't need them. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to... Okay, maybe something around here. This 80.70 zone could be nice as well, but I'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, look, for now, I would say what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a neutral stance. And if we do push above this 83.54 territory, then yes, potentially more buyers could join in. If we do break this upside line, then yes, more sellers could join in, and we could aim for that 200-day EMA. So yeah, that's the game plan. Let's see how that's gonna play out. Ripple. So Ripple continues to slide. Everything's according to the plan. Not much to talk about here, to be honest. I mean, everything's okay so far. I talked about some lower levels, so if they're going there. We're going there with Ripple. We reached, yes, the 50-day EMA. We broke it, and now the question is, can we slide further south? Well, as long as we stay below the 50-day EMA, that's what I'm going to aim. I'm taking these simplistic approaches because I don't want to overcomplicate things for now. So yeah, as long as we stay below the 50, I'm going to go for the 100-day EMA. If we somehow reverse sharply back up, look, I think that maybe we could keep an eye now on this hurdle, this barrier that I talked about previously. This was the barrier for the downside for me. Now it could be the upside scenario barrier. So the 0.6686 zone, if we climb back above it, maybe we could see a break of it. At the same time, some of you might say, hey, maybe we have ourselves a downside line here as well. Could be, yes. I mean, it's a very tentative one as well, don't get me wrong. So as long as we stay below it, yeah, this could just kind of strengthen the idea for a possible further decline. Litecoin, good move as well. So we're resting so far in this 81.76 territory, but as long as we, you know, if not as long as, but if we do drop below this hurdle again and stay below it, yep, my next target is this upside line drawn from the low of the 9th of November of 2022. So let's jump into a few pairs very quickly. AUDUSD. By the way, in terms of Australian data this week, I don't think that there's much excitement from the Australia side. ANZ job advertisement numbers today came out. Nothing major. Tomorrow, NAB business confidence. Okay, that one. Tomorrow, yeah, keep your eyes on. Well, for Australian dollar traders, keep your eyes on that one. This could be an interesting one. So, and also some Chinese figures as well that could, you know, help out the Australian dollar. Inflation expectations, yes, something that's coming out. MI inflation expectations in Australia. And I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, yeah, like I said, not much maybe, but a few pieces of data here and there. Look, this might remain subject to the moves in the US dollar. Looking at the picture here as well, I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards the downside, to be honest, because look, I talked about this idea of a range as well, and this idea of a falling channel. Sorry, not a falling channel, a descending triangle pattern, which, yeah, kind of worked out. So yes, everything, we broke this territory, this lower side of the range, and drifted lower. Then we reversed, tested this area again from underneath, and we're struggling right now to go back above it. So in other words, if we continue to trade below it, then yes, more sellers could join in. In terms of higher levels, I think what I'm going to do here is, even if we do climb back above this highlighted zone, the lower side of this range, The previous range, I'm going to take a neutral stand. If we do break this downside line, the steeper one, then I'll get a little bit more comfortable with higher levels. AUDNZD. This one still, I'm waiting for it to make some sort of a move. This is a nice little range here. I need to see a clearance of the lower side in order to go lower. That's it. For the upside, I need to see a push somewhere above this area. That's it. All this zone here, I don't like it. Even this hurdle, I really don't like. Okay, look, if we do push above it, maybe we could go a little bit higher, but we have these EMAs here, which could provide some resistance. Now, if you want to risk, okay, feel free, whatever you want to do, guys, but just be careful that we might see even like just a false breakout, and then you know, it could quickly reverse against you. So either way, have a stop loss, risk only what you can afford to lose, and then yes, everything will be fine. But don't really try to over gamble somewhere in this territory, because again, it's a little bit on the tricky side. AUDJPY. So this one's, I need to mark this level, honestly. I think it's very good. I think this is doing a very, very good job here. So this one right here. So yeah, and this arrow needs to go lower like this. And yes, so if we do drop below this territory right here, then yes, this below this 93 zone, then yes, I will consider some moves lower. Now, my problem is, of course, with the 200-day EMA, which is very close. But if that gets cleared, hey, why not? You know, we could go lower. I'll aim for lower levels. I'm just gonna keep it simple. For the upside, for the upside in the short run, look, a break above this 93.77 territory is required. If we do clear it, then yes, more buyers could join in. We could see a nice movement here to the downside towards this downside line. Sorry, to the downside, to the upside towards this downside line. But yeah, like in general, look, in general, I would say this way: if this area doesn't appeal to you, honestly, I totally understand you. You can leave it, wait for it, you know, just maybe search for something else, and then we could find something better. In general, maybe this is forming a nice descending triangle pattern. Okay, according to all the TA rules, such patterns tend to break to the downside. However, how many times I've seen this happening in the opposite direction? And yes, I mean, this could still end up breaking higher here. So that's why I'm not rushing to anything here. I mean, at the moment, I'm watching this lower side, this potential triangle pattern. If we clear it, then yes, I will go lower. If we stay as well below it, yeah, I'll go lower. For the upside in the short run, within this pattern, yes, a push above this 93.77 territory might do the trick for a few more buyers, but just be careful. Then we could get a hold up near the 50 and then reverse back down. So just keep this scenario also in your head. CHFJPY, just a quick update here. I just wanted to mention this is as I call it, the battle of the safe havens. And you can see that right now, yes, the yen is winning, and we're seeing a bit of a retracement. Now, I'm sticking to my game plan, and I really like it still. I need to see a clear break of this upside line in order to go lower. And for the upside, a push above this 164 territory is required as well. If I get that, then yes, if I get that break here and I see the body of the daily candle staying, then yes, a forthcoming higher high will be confirmed, of course, and potentially more buyers could join in. For the downside, yes, as I said, a break of this upside line is required. At the same time, we'll fall below the 50-day EMA. USDJPY, pushing back up. What I really want to do here is remove all the drawings. I mean, some of them worked, some of them didn't, so I think let's have a fresh look. First thing, we can say that we have rebounded nicely from this area near the 100-day EMA, but I think that this is going to be one of those moments where I'll, as much as I maybe don't like to say that, but the EMAs did not really carry much significance this time. Maybe this 200-day EMA ones, but in general, yeah, it didn't really do much. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna keep an eye on this upside line. for now. This one's drawn from the low the 24th of March of 2023. So far, you can see that I wouldn't even really call it as a tentative line. It's more actually like a normal trend line because we have already 3 touches, 3 rebounds, well, three moves here. So yep, in a way, more buyers could join in. Now, if we are looking for some higher levels at this point, I think the easier option is to, first of all, maybe keep an eye on this 142.95 territory, or if you wish, you can round it up towards the 142 zone. If we continue to trade above it, there potentially could see some more buying action. But if by any chance this downside line somehow provides resistance, then, well, you can scrap the whole kind of, upside scenario. We could see a drift back down, and basically we could start coiling up here. But if we start clearing this downside line, then yes, of course, I will get a little bit more excited with the upside. I will keep an eye on the on this area right here, this 143.90 zone. And if that gets cleared, then certainly, yes, the highest point of this year, the current highest point of this year, could be in the next good target near the 145.07 territory. That's what I'm going to aim for initially, if the criteria is met. For the downside, from the short-term perspective, look, again, it's not ideal, but what you can do here, maybe just, I don't know, consider something like this. So this 141.55, if we do fall below it, then yes, I'll aim for the 50-day EMA, and if that gets cleared, then yes, certainly further to the downside here could be possible. So in other words, something like this, further to the downside towards the upside line, meaning a larger correction to the downside. So yeah. Because like I said, I'm going to aim for this one for now. USDCAD, just a quick update on this one. We're getting a nice little hold up near my barrier. I talked about this one. I mentioned it. So I'm just going to quickly mark that. Last week, I kept on saying that, look, this is going to be my target. I reached my target. Great. Then now what's next? Well, next is an idea here where if we do clear this one, then yes, I will go higher. But look, if we are forming something of an ascending triangle pattern here, something maybe like this here, if we are forming something like this, then yes, we could see a bit of a decline back down. So at the moment, I would say don't rush. Keep your eyes on this barrier. If we push through it and stay above it, then yes, I will go a little bit higher, maybe towards this territory first, this 1.3462. US dollar against the Mexican peso. So there we go, beautiful hold up. I talked about this last week. I told you to keep an eye on this barrier. We held nicely here near the 100-day EMA. So at the moment, I'm going to stick to the same game plan. I said to you before that if we do push above this area and stay above it, then yes, I'll go towards the 200-day EMA. But as you can see, we held here and we drifted to the downside. Now, if you're looking for some lower levels on this, I think that maybe just keep an eye on this territory right here, the 1705. If we do drop and stay below it, then yes, we could potentially start aiming back to these hurdles right here, these lows near the 1669, 1662, something around those lines. But again, for that, I need to see a nice good, we're already below the 50-day EMA, so that's kind of part of the deal. But also maybe just for that extra confirmation, a drop, and we need to see us staying. Actually, you know what, this yeah, okay, that could be the first step, but I think I'm liking this level as well. There we go. Yes, 17 level. Okay, you know what, let's just keep it simple. The psychological 17 mark, if we do drop and stay below it again, then yes, I'll consider a bit of another further throwback. GBPUSD. So yes, of course, as I said to you today, that GDP numbers are on the watch, on the lookout. UK GDP numbers are on the lookout, so those might give us some sort of movement. But at this point, I'm not really liking here. I'm just going to be waiting. I'm just going to be waiting for this one to make a move. So if I want to go lower, maybe a drop somewhere below this 1.2666 territory is required. Maybe at the same time, we could fall below the 100-day EMA, and this could open the door towards that 200-day EMA. But For the upside, look, previously I talked about this, but I think it's time to get rid of it. You know what? I'm going to take a very, very conservative approach here, and I'm just going to wait for a push above this downside line, and then, yeah, more buyers who could join in here. So this is my game plan for GBPUSD. GBPNZD. Okay, so there we go. It's an interesting one. If you remember this whole last week, I was talking about this one, and I was talking about this barrier, this 2.09 zone here. Well, so far so good. Again, we're in the range. At the same time, we're also forming something of an ascending triangle pattern. So look. For now, I would say this way, that if I want to go lower, I need to see a break of this this upside line, which is the lower side of the ascending triangle pattern. And this way, yes, I could aim for the lower side of the range, within the range, right? If I want to go higher, a break of this barrier, the upper side of the range is required. Not only a break, but also the body of the daily candle staying above it. And then potentially more buyers could join it. Euro Aussie, again, mission accomplished on this one, because I said to you that I'm going to aim for this territory near the 1.6787. Not exactly an exact test of that level, just fell shy by what, about like 17 or 16 pips. That's okay. Look, I'll take that. In general, this idea worked out nicely. So what's next? For now, what I'm seeing here is for me, the option could be right here. If I do see a clearance of this territory, this 1.6766, 87 zone, something like that, then yes, I will get a little bit more excited with higher levels. At this point, I'm just observing the price action. If I want to go lower, I think I will keep an eye on this upside line right here. And yes, this is going to be my conservative approach for lower levels, but hey, maybe this could be, be a little bit of a safer option. But again, of course, in general, nothing is safe in the markets. Everything is under risk, but maybe this kind of gives me a little bit more logic. But again, maybe I'm wrong. For now, let's say with the downside is a little bit tricky. If we do come closer here, then yes, I'll start considering some lower levels. But at this point, it could just bounce around, maybe move sideways. But for the upside, if we clear that barrier, then yeah, that's the one that could kind of be a little bit more attractive. So let me just mark it there. And finally, EURUSD, guys. So a bit of a roller coaster ride here on Friday. We saw a pop back up here. We tested this downside line and it held. And we climbed back above this upside line here. So the downside line worked, the upside line didn't. So what can we do? We can get rid of it. Now the question is, can we go lower? Well, to be honest, I think that for me at this point, I'm going to take a very conservative approach here, and I'm just going to wait for a drop below that hurdle that I just marked, or maybe even this one here. So basically this territory between the 1.09, 18, 12, because at the same time we would fall below the 108 EMA and potentially more sellers could join in. So if we do drop and stay below that 108 EMA, I'm leaning towards the downside. For the upside, yes, as you understood correctly, a break of that downside line is required, and also maybe, just maybe, this level right here. So this 1.1047 could be that nice, good little target, but hey, let's not rush into anything for now. Let's keep an eye on this barrier. If we do, let's keep an eye on this downside line, I would say. If we do clear it, I'll start looking at some higher levels, but more buyers could join in on a break of this hurdle right here. This one right there. That's the kind of probably the safer option for the upside scenario, because again, look, as I mentioned with gold to you, that maybe this is an inverted head and shoulders. We have our left shoulder, we have our head, maybe we're going to form right shoulders, I don't know, who knows. And if that's the case and we break higher, break this downside line, then yes, this could become a neckline, this barrier that I talked about. So, and then yes, of course, if we have a head and shoulders pattern, doesn't matter inverted or normal, we still need to wait for a break of the neckline in order to get a little bit more comfortable with with that direction, which is according to all the TA rules. So for the inverted head and shoulders pattern is the upside. For the normal head and shoulders, it's the downside. So guys, yeah, that's it. Then that's why my downside scenario comes from around here. That's why I said before that this is from where I'm gonna, because if it drops below this, then we ignore any inverted head and shoulders patterns. They're just gonna, you know, stick to that downside line and continue sliding. So that's it, guys. That's it for this session. I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate your time, guys, your views, your rockets, your comments, everything. Thank you very much. You can't really imagine how much it means to me. Look, I hope, like I said, I hope you found it useful. And if you want to catch me tomorrow morning, as always, at 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, have a beautiful trading day. Stay safe, have your stop losses in place, and everything will be fine. See you tomorrow. Hey there, thank you very much for watching this one till the end. I really appreciate that. So, like this video, we speculate your next mouse movement will be towards the subscribe button.